You mentioned over the years he was tearing down safeguards of democracy. Of course, he famously, when he was very young, worked for Richard Nixon. But I remember the late Wayne Barrett saying one time, I know Roger Stone from, I first met Roger Stone when he was carrying attorney Roy Cohn's briefcases. And Roger Stone went crazy, just totally crazy online when he heard Wayne Barrett say that, and started blocking people and attacking them. And he's obviously not online anymore, but that was how he started. Now, Roy Cohn, of course, was of course the bombastic attorney that worked for Nixon, and was a big part of the Red Scare as well, in the blacklist. But let's talk a little bit about like some of the stuff that Roger Stone has done over the years to kind of get him to this point of questionable, what are his intentions, who is he working with, clearly with a disrespect of any of our democratic values.
Yes, so as you said, actually Wayne Barrett in our film says that we asked him, what does it say about Roger that his two heroes are Richard Nixon and Roy Cohn? And he says, it means that you're evil before you start. And Roy Cohn was who introduced Roger to Trump. He saw these kindred spirits that would be able to help each other in their designs. Roy Cohn, perhaps even before Roger, saw the potential that Trump had as a national figure probably because of his understanding of how to command the media's attention. And as the media and us as a country have become more superficial, that ability has only risen in value. And so, Roger is the youngest person called before the Watergate grand jury when he's all of 19 for his work on CREEP, the Committee to Re-elect the President in 1972 with Richard Nixon. He goes on to form the first super PAC in the wake of the Buckley v. Valeo 1976 Supreme Court decision, which is really the one that let the floodgates, unlimited money come into our system. He plays a pivotal role in electing Ronald Reagan in 1980. And then he forms this firm, Black, Manafort, and Stone, together with Lee Atwater, which is the first lobbying company that breaks this unwritten rule on K Street that it's distasteful to elect somebody and then turn around and lobby them. They thought that that was naive, and they thought, why not cash in on that? And they became pretty much the biggest shop on K Street because of this extraordinary amount of money that they brought in lobbying the Reagan administration. But they also went abroad, and they found essentially like a who's who of third world dictators to represent their interests in Washington. And they were dubbed the torturers lobby because of so many of these murderous third world dictators that they represented, but really without any type of moral qualms. So, Roger, when I talk about breaking down the safeguards of our democracy over time, if you think about the consultant lobbyist complex that's been so toxic to Washington, D.C., and really flip the balance between our elected officials being in charge instead of the special interest being in charge, which is really the case today. And then the unlimited money that came into the campaigns, the dark money. In 1980, this organization, this Nick PAC that Roger was so, was one of the co-founders of, wiped out a lot of the liberal lions of the Senate who had been such an important part of the institution and moving forward the country along a liberal vision. And they get swamped with all this dark money, and they didn't see it coming, because that was something that had never happened before in our country, that you could just be attacked without any type of recourse, and you don't know where that money is coming from. So, Roger just step by step in 2000, Roger plays a key role in shutting down the recount between Bush and Gore at the behest of James Baker, who was leading the effort to shut down the recount for George W. Bush. So, Roger is like this Zelig type figure who appears again and again in our politics, really tearing it down for the worse.
So interesting. I never really thought about the effects that his role had in 1980 with the Super PAC. If he hadn't targeted those lines in the Senate, we may not have. Well, I'm sure it would have evolved in some way. The Democratic Leadership Council, the New Democrats who pushed out all the unions from the DNC and started bringing in big money in effort to compete with Republicans because they were so scared. They were so scared of all the money being thrown at them. I mean, at least that's how they justified it. I'm sure they would have found the money some other way.
The thing is, it's this arms race. And so no side ever pulls back an overreach of power. So when George W. Bush starts using executive orders like no president in history, Barack Obama is like, takes that tool and uses it and creates the opportunity for Donald Trump to use it even worse. When Newt Gingrich tears down, all these, basically aggregates all the power of the speakership in himself and marginalizes the rank and file and basically tells all the special interests that the Republicans are open for business. When Democrats become the speaker, they don't change the rules of the game. They're like, oh, now I have more power. I'm going to hold on to that power. And so nobody ever dials back the degradation of our politics. They think, oh, now these are the tools that I have at my disposal, and I might as well maximize them for myself because the other side did it. And nobody thinks about how that affects the American public. They only think about how it affects their own interests.
Thank you for watching and listening to the Nomiki Show. Make sure to click like and subscribe on YouTube and share with everybody on social media. And of course, if you're not a patron already, please join us on patreon.com/The Nomiki Show for as low as $5 a month. That money makes a huge difference. We don't have the corporate money coming in. We're not cable news that's raking in the dough from advertisers right now as everybody's sitting at home and watching. It is really you guys who are keeping us together. So please consider being a patron. And for those of you who have already, we are incredibly grateful to you.